Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the January 19 Shrewsbury Housing Authority Board Meeting. January 19?
I think it's the 9th, isn't it?
No, the 2019.
Okay, all right.
January 19.
Sorry, Paul.
But it is, as my esteemed colleague points out, the 8th. But it's the January board meeting, January 19 board meeting. I'd like to open by taking a motion for the December 18 minutes.
Motion to accept the December meeting minutes.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, correct. Moving on to the treasurer's report.
Looks healthy.
It's a good thing, because when we talk about updates, we're gonna have a few. With the government shutdown in the ELOC system, I'm now able to parse out money. I'm technically able to, but I got locked out of the account, and the people that you call to get locked out, the message is...
They're not there.
Yeah, we're not here.
So, Kelly, you need to talk to our accountant and make sure you can access funds to make bills if this thing continues.
Right. We have money, and it would be essentially, and I'm not an accountant, though I'm clearly on record, borrowing money from ourselves,
She just
keeping
has to
ourselves
figure out
liquid.
where in this list
Exactly
to
the
take the
point,
payroll
yes,
from,
right,
where
exactly.
to take capital improvements or
Exactly.
whatever else we get to pay for,
Right,
so.
right. So you
We
kind
need
of
to talk to James and see.
keeping a ledger of accounts of how we stay, if this stays, now, I don't have a lot of
Right,
belief that it's gonna go on and on and on forever. Maybe that's naivete, but no shutdown in the past has ever gone on and on forever, so. That was one of my notes to bring under new or old business, that I went to do that, and it wouldn't log me on, which has happened before. It's happened repeatedly, in fact. But
I was so frustrated.
I know, but when you call, they
Somebody
always
isn't
give me a
doing that.
temporary password, and I got a, sorry,
Yeah.
you know, the shingle is shut, for the
Okay.
shutdown. All right,
Okay.
good, that's one less thing on my list. Do we need a motion to accept the treasurer's report? I don't think so. No. No, okay. Then I guess we're gonna go on to,
The
the
payables.
payables, correct. Any questions, fellow board members,
Mr.
on the
Chairman.
payables?
Mr. Chairman, to Kelly.
Yes.
I cannot believe that our audits are costing so much money. Did everybody catch that?
Yeah.
11/8?
11,000.
It's a lot of
11/8,
money.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That didn't strike me as exorbitant, though. I've seen big money for audits in other companies that I've worked for, so.
But,
But that's
but this place is pretty straightforward.
Right, right.
14 years we've had them. In last board meeting, I asked, and it was in a public notice, that we need to
We
start
need to
looking
change, yeah.
at other auditors.
And are we?
So you asked that
We
I
asked
would
you to
ask,
prepare, yeah.
James,
Yep.
and James has worked with them all. He really cannot, because he still works with them all. There's 5 audit firms that DHCD has approved.
Do they all have the same type of fee schedule?
I believe so.
I would assume so.
I mean, $10,000 for an audit doesn't seem exorbitant to me.
12,000 does for a place like this.
Right,
the
right.
report's
So that's
still
what I mean.
boilerplate.
And they do it every single year.
Yeah.
Right, right, right. So,
And we could use that money for other purposes.
no, agreed, agreed. No, no pushback. So maybe when you're doing diligence, you can get standard boilerplate sets of fees for a standard audit, which is ours. So.
Maybe you can inquire about the fee schedules and how other authorities are billed, whether it's based on size, whether it's based on number of different programs. You know, because how many programs do they audit? They do
The state
every-
and federal.
They do the state and federal.
The AUP is state, and we need a federal audit also.
So is it technically speaking, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, Kelly, is it technically speaking 2 audits?
2 audits combined in
Yeah.
one, yes.
All right, so if that helps,
So
Richard.
the state has been absorbing the AUP, but going forward,
Okay.
we pay it out. I will send out to those 5 audit firms, just asking.
Like not quite an RFP, but
Right.
RFI, more like, a request for info.
My other question is relative to the trash services. Is that amount of $27.39.45 per month, is that in line with what we had discussed?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Other questions, Richard?
I'm good.
I'm
To my
good,
left,
thank
to my
you.
right?
I'm
Kat?
good, thank you.
question, Kelly, for me, Sam's Club Synchrony Bank, resident participation for about 600, is that like an event or a lunch or something we did?
Every Tuesday, they have a social hour.
Right,
We provide
That's the credit card, Synchrony Bank.
that's what, okay.
That's to buy all the
Okay.
refreshments
All right.
and stuff like
Got
that.
it, fair enough, good enough, that's what I thought, I just wanted to make sure. If there's no further questions on the payables, I'll take a motion.
Motion to approve the payables in the amount of $118,478.43.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, Kelly. And then there is Gary's schedule, which is great when you flip through it, really helps you get your arms around.
It
There's
does.
so much of what we spend is just really ongoing maintenance. I will take a motion on the payouts.
So moved on, in the amount of $1292.80, please, on the
Second.
portability.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous on portability, Kelly? Hap?
I will make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we pay the landlords and tenants amounts in the total amount of $117,312.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, Kelly? Payroll?
And I would make a motion that we pay the payroll, Mr. Chairman, in the amount as printed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, Kelly. Kelly, anything in NARA?
I would point out the article on the tenant board member bill was kind of interesting. If anybody had a chance to read that, if you didn't.
I looked at the one above it, I didn't catch it. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, because they're talking about different ways to appoint the tenant member of the board, whether by election, by full town election, or by tenant election, or by appointment by the Board of Selectmen. There's three different ways that they're bandying about here, and
Well, if you may
it seems
recall,
like
we went
now,
round-
4 years later, almost 5 years later,
So-
after DeVal Patrick tried to abolish us altogether, it appears that they still haven't come up with a way to select a tenant member of the board.
I was gonna
So
say,
we are among the half of the authorities that have moved forward and without any set course, and I guess that means we did our job. So, Bruce, welcome aboard, and you better stay.
a year later.
But it
Well,
is it is an interesting article, because they talk about the different variations of their interpretation of Chapter 235, so.
And if you recall, we went round and round on that. We thought we were adhering to having a selectman appointed, and Mr. Morgado, who I have great respect for, pushed back on us at the time and said, I don't have a statute in front of me that tells me I have to appoint, and so we kind of went round and round, so
And
it is.
I'm kind of glad that happened, because I think we jumped on board early, and
Agreed.
we have a tenant. I think we just have to nail down if we haven't, we have to nail down the terms and how long it serves, and is there a term limit and things like that. We're gonna have to kind of.
Yeah, didn't we ask Kelly for that not long after his appointment? Kelly, do we have any clarity, or we're just talking about what the term of the tenant elect on the board member is?
How often do we elect?
every year,
Okay.
And
every
when
year.
was the last time?
Last year.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in the fall, wasn't it?
It was at the fall?
I feel
think
like,
so. I feel like it was
I'm trying to
May.
think.
was it
Because
May?
it connected with the town
Yes.
election.
Was it? Oh, okay.
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 So then we're coming up, much like I'm coming up, we're coming up on that as well.
Right.
I remember you announcing it, and then, so it must have been June, because I remember you talking about putting posters or under everyone's door or something?
Yes.
Announcing it.
It was.
Was it May? Or maybe, and then we just came back and he had won.
Okay, so
I don't
I
know.
guess the point is that I think we need to think about posting it and seeing who's gonna run again, and then go about having the residents select their representative again. I don't think we have any issue with term limits. Bruce has only been on board for 2 years.
2 years? Is this your second year?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah, yes, because the first meeting I ever watched was the meeting, that was that discussion.
Because I remember us talking about, when I first came forward, about being 4 or 5 years. And then they backed it down to
Right, well, I think
Paul
that,
said
that was
light.
because we talked about our elected, townwide members being, 5-year terms. And I believe you found out that that's not acceptable when it's a, tenant resident election, so.
I think we took some guidance from HUD, if not
Right.
DCHD, I'm not sure, but I
Right.
think it was
It
HUD, it was a
HUD.
year, yeah, that's what I thought,
Yeah.
yeah, my memory not failing, yeah.
So we need you to go back to the guidelines and figure out what you need to do to post it and figure out when it's gonna be and make sure you publicize so that everybody knows that they can run if they wanna run. And then Bruce has a campaign.
Yep.
Time to get out the war
Yeah.
chest, start.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
And give you some tips.
Okay, so,
Coffee rec,
so that
great
was
campaign.
that.
She can
The
give me
legislative
tips.
priorities that are listed in the Nara newsletter, letter was pretty interesting as well, so I thought it was a pretty good month for the Nara newsletter. That's just my comments.
Anyone else comments on Naro?
I have one comment
By all
regarding
means.
the tenant board member. If
Okay.
these provisions do go through, it will be state and federal. Where right now, it's just a federal tenant. Once the provision goes through, I need to include Francis Gardens, Elizabeth Street.
One seat.
Yes,
One's
one
not,
seat.
okay,
seat
all
for
right,
the
so,
town.
yeah,
Right
one
now,
vote.
it's just, you
Right.
need a federal resident on
Correct.
board. But the provisions will say it will, can either be state or federal.
That's fine, so I think we
I
simply do.
anticipated that, yeah.
Yeah, we simply would follow, you know, a common vote, kind of, majority vote
Same
kind of
process,
policy.
only all of the
Yeah.
facilities.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
And that would put us at 6 members, right?
Nope.
Or,
No,
No,
one
just
seat,
one-
that's what I
one
was
seat.
asking, that was
Oh,
my
one
question,
seat.
one seat.
so there would be a federal.
The resident commissioner's seat would represent all of the residents, including family residents,
Yes.
Okay.
so,
For the state, for the
and
Commonwealth.
Fed,
So that one person could be
Yeah.
all.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay,
just like a politician can
Yeah.
represent multiple
yeah,
districts.
so it would
for
just
an
be, there would
analogy,
be
yeah.
basically more
You
people.
make sure that, section
More
8
can
tenants
vote.
aren't.
That's what I was saying, more voting, the
More can
voting population would be opened up
Right.
essentially.
We'll look for guidance on that.
Yeah. Sandy might even be a good resource for you on that, Kelly, in terms of what you have to post and when and where and stuff like that. HUD might be good in terms of, policy, you know, one per unit and stuff like that, but Sandy might be able to give you some guidance on how to run an internal election.
Okay.
Maybe, you can certainly worth checking, she's super, super helpful,
And competent.
correct. All right, next, vacancies, nice job, Kelly, at least on the state I haven't.
Well,
gotten.
sorry for those people that are waiting, but but there's no room at the end.
Yeah.
Interesting, the number of.
Your totals,
yeah.
we're down, which is, I mean,
Well, no,
good and
we're actually not too far down. We only have a partial year and under our belt, and we're already over last year.
But from the year, from the previous year, from 16 to 17,
Right.
we were at 15.
Right.
And then we were at
Right.
8.
Right, but I think we're gonna be back up to 15, the way this is looking.
Certainly possible. All right, any comments on state units? Okay. Federal?
Does the 708 look like it'll be?
What
filled
kind of
up
shape was it
within-
in?
Yes. One maintenance guy is in there right now. It will be ready the 11th.
Right now, as we speak, he's working late.
Overtime. We're gonna do that later.
He started on Monday.
Go back and look at that.
He will be done on Friday. Jen has sent out offers. Hopefully, a certain person will lease up on the 15th.
Good,
Great, excellent,
Excellent.
excellent.
Good job.
that would be nice.
Kelly, Section 8.
Well, she's trying.
Kelly. You spoiled us for so long.
I have, I did. I sent out 20 updates.
Really?
20. We're going back to applicants who applied in 2014.
Wow.
Some applicants are,
I have to tell you, those of us that deal with this residential tenancy market know that the market in Shrewsbury is somewhat flooded right now with space, never mind tenants, so this doesn't surprise me. I think you know, given the present state of affairs in the rental market, I think that it's gonna take a few months for you to get this thing back to where it needs to be. So,
I don't disagree, again, based on personal experience.
Out of those 20 applications I sent out, 2 people have responded. One is leasing up for February 15th. The other has not found anything, and she wants to live in Shrewsbury. She just can't be over 40%.
what kind of unit is she looking for?
A 1-bedroom.
Yeah. Okay, so that's section 8, Mr.
Okay.
Chairman.
Great, thank you. Social workers report, she's right on, kind of at the new normal.
Kind of on the mark, on
Yeah.
the
The
new
new normal of 30,
Yeah.
yep,
Yep.
give or take. All right, any questions there, anyone?
No?
Okay. The bulletin probably doesn't need any discussion.
I have to tell you though,
Oh.
I am impressed at the amount of information they have on a one-page document. You know, it starts off with a non-smoking housing authority since August 2017, right? And then you're talking about elevator inspections, you're talking about how to deal with unused medicine at home. You've got a whole calendar of events for the doctors' seminars and recertification time. I mean, a lot of information on this one page.
Kelly, who does this? Who physically creates this? Is this Shirley or you?
Shirley
Shirley,
does.
that's what I thought, yeah.
So I have to give her a lot of credit for that. You tell her I'm duly impressed, to say the least.
Okay. Next, I think we're, oh,
Mr. Chairman,
go
before we
ahead,
move on,
by all means.
we have the calendar just for the tower, that calendar's just here, is that all of them?
All of them.
Okay, all right.
That's
So
a
we're-
January 2019 calendar,
Yeah.
yeah.
It just looks like it only has tower events on it.
You know, I think that's because some of the places don't have events.
But
they have-
Elizabeth does it, don't they do a social every other Wednesday?
It's between them,
Okay,
changes.
okay, all right. All right, never mind then.
What's that mean?
So they have social hour tomorrow,
Yep.
but if somebody can't make it, they'll change it to Wednesday.
So you don't want to put it on the calendar? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Where the
Because, I mean,
tenants here.
Elizabeth Gardens is on this
Mhm.
calendar. They're labeled down at the bottom, so.
Okay, oh, all right, I just didn't see any events for anybody else, that's why. Okay,
Yeah. And Francis Gardens, the same thing?
They'll,
So they're not,
Change.
those two are not participating in the calendar events, apparently. Alrighty then.
Okay, that pulls us to new business. There's a couple on Kelly's agenda, and I have a couple myself, but we'll start with what's on the agenda, which is the conflict of interest. I know we were discussing this briefly before the camera went on. I know some subset of us needs to do this. It has to be done every other year. We know Ms. McSweeney is covered. Beyond that, it's a crapshoot. and
I
we'll-
brought mine back to the.
Yeah, I've got
clerk,
I
but
did it yesterday. I've got to drop it off
For
at
some
the
reason, I
town.
wasn't aware, I didn't pick up that we're supposed to also email it back to the state.
I didn't either.
I didn't email it to the state. I
No.
just, it said
No,
printed.
just
yeah.
goes to Sandy.
Yeah, Sandy, that's all.
And you wanted a copy too. I think I brought you a copy.
Oh, you want a
Okay.
copy too?
You want a copy too?
just so I can,
And
just
do you
in
send
case
it then, or do we?
to Sandy,
No, to the
Or-
state.
to the state. I can send it to the state if
Are
you
we
guys.
supposed to?
I
How
think
The state doesn't need it.
No,
No,
I
not
think
the conflict of interest.
Because
I thought
when
you
you do
said-
it
I thought you said
online,
the state had to do it.
they know you've
No.
completed it.
Yeah.
But that, yeah, that's a different training.
It's the same. It's one and the same.
Yeah.
There's one set of training.
Yeah.
I believe once you do the online training, that's.
The state's
what they-
notified,
Yes,
yes. It
yes.
tells you you're completed, then it says print it out
Yeah.
and give it to your local town hall, which is
Right.
what I did, but I haven't brought it there yet.
Oh.
I just, if I have a copy, then the last email we received a couple of months ago, when certain people didn't take it and they had to retake it over, I can at least say
So
we have.
I will make you a copy of
Okay.
mine and bring it to you at the next meeting.
I'm gonna sign it
In
for
the
right now.
interim, I'm gonna, bring it to Sandy.
And I'll bring you a copy. I gave it to Sandy, but
Right.
if you want a copy, I'll bring a copy for you as well.
I have
The
no conflict of copies here,
interest?
if you guys just wanna sign.
I'm
Sure,
just
and I'll
doing
have
it.
them.
Sure. I'll sign it before I leave.
Okay. All right, next is the audit. We got the same finding that we always get, you know, because the town won't convert to our calendar.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Beyond that, I thought it looked pretty good, but I'll certainly open it up to the floor for comments, conversation, discussion.
It's never gonna right itself.
No,
We will always get dinged on that one.
right. But that was the only finding.
You know, yeah,
I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
Me too.
I thought it was a good audit. I thought it was
Yeah,
a solid
yeah,
audit.
yeah.
It was by and large, I don't wanna dare I use the word complimentary for an accountant, but, certainly,
It graced me to
Paul.
think we had to pay $12,000 to have them come up with the same argument that we've
Right.
been arguing with them for
right,
now
And
several
one that will
years.
never change, Richard.
Right.
right.
So we'll pay $12,000 the next time to find out that we still are not in compliance on that one item.
Right.
Maybe you could talk to our state representative and state senator who come here on a regular basis to see whether there's some way that they can deal with this issue or help us deal with this issue. Because I think it's ridiculous that we have to deal with it and then we have to have a finding as a result of it. Findings cost us money.
right.
You know, our funding or whatever grants we look for are affected by findings, so, and negatively affected by findings, so let's see if they have any ideas on how to handle it, okay? Everybody agree?
Yes.
Sure.
Good idea.
Other than that, great job, Kelly.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I shouldn't say other than that, great job, I mean, it's not your fault that, you know, that we have that problem.
Other questions or comments from the group regarding either the audit or other points of new business?
I do.
Kelly, go ahead.
If you go back to the narrow monitor, that was one that was right after the narrow news.
Yeah, it's the 100-page document. It's about page 18 or so in the PDF.
Okay. 22, I
20,
bet,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
What do you,
And what
Okay.
you're looking for,
Go ahead, we're there.
On the third page, there, before the HUD shutdown,
CEO's message,
yes,
okay?
HUD had called and also sent an email asking if I would talk to the board about repositioning. And what that means is taking away the 99 units here.
what do you mean?
Well, yeah,
I'm not
what
sure
do you
if
do?
Okay, repositioning, meaning they want to basically, HUD appears to be walking away from the public housing program. So by September of 2019, they want 105,000 units taken offline. So they're starting with small housing authorities. And they wanted me to talk to my board and to go through this conversation with them, to see if they would want to take the 99 units off here and have project-based units.
Which would mean we'd have to become totally self-sufficient.
Or would the state be interested in picking them up, is where I go to right away.
The state would never pick this up.
no.
Well, I didn't know if that was what was coming. That would be my only logical assumption, it's either
No,
federal
this is
or.
just the administration dumping
Yeah, shut it.
units.
Yeah,
Yeah, in order to
Be
reduce
more-
the HUD budget.
yeah, be more streamlined, be
Am
more
I
thorough.
understanding we have a choice here?
You
Well,
do
yeah.
have a
Sort of.
choice.
For
The
now.
board
They're looking
has-
for our
For
opinion.
January?
Yes.
They're looking for our opinion, that we don't, I don't think they're giving us a choice. I think,
I believe they are giving you a choice. This is something that you guys need to discuss. It will affect the residents who live here. It will affect the residents who are on the waiting list. We wouldn't be housing elderly or young disabled. We'd be housing project base, where I'm just, ABC company has a list of tenants.
What's the criteria?
And what about our current
what,
residents?
would become an Avalon?
Basically,
Oh, please.
No.
But I just want to throw that out there. It wouldn't be just elderly, young, disabled. It would be Section 8, it would be project-based, just so you know.
But if HUD sheds us, why couldn't it be anything? Why would it have to be Section 8 or elderly, for that matter, not that I'm playing devil's advocate? If we're self-sustaining, how is it any different than, we're no longer
We would be-
quasi-public?
We would be getting money from a different pool of money.
That's the answer. Thank
So,
you.
right now, it's just the capital fund that we get every year. This would be a pool of money like Section 8. But they would be RAD vouchers or project-based vouchers.
Could you explain project-based vouchers?
Project-based vouchers is where the subsidy stays within the apartment. Where Section 8, you can go anywhere in the United States with.
Okay.
So say I move out of an apartment, the next person needs to come in. So once I leave, my subsidy's gone.
Okay.
But we wouldn't be just dealing with elderly and young disableds.
And we wouldn't be able to keep the rents down either.
No.
The rents would skyrocket in order to maintain this building.
Well, that's what I meant when I said self-sustaining. It becomes, we're essentially a landlord.
Let's
We're no
face it,
longer-
this federal facility is not self-sustaining.
Oh. God, no.
This is the only part of Shrewsbury's Housing Authority that is not self-sustaining, and they want to shed it.
And then
For
what
that
happens to our
reason.
tenants? What happens to our current tenants?
Well,
Our-
the rent would have to go up.
Our current tenants would be probably issued a Section 8 voucher or whatever road we chose to take, other than to keep it elderly disabled housing.
But they're not telling you that they're gonna give us that.
Right. But just so you know, this is coming down, but they wanted me to have a discussion with the
Who
board.
they? Did someone call you specifically?
Yes, HUD.
Who called you?
Jewel Burke, she's my HUD rep. It used to be Ty Pope.
Yeah.
Right.
that's
But
the name
Jewel
I know.
Burke,
Okay.
she said she emailed the chairman.
I definitely, I check everything, unless I didn't recognize it and inadvertently deleted it, but I read all my emails. But you're more than welcome to have her re-email me, but I did not see it.
I have
Yeah,
the notice.
forward it to me, yeah, that's
Yes,
fine.
I'll
I
forward
didn't
it.
see it. But sometimes things look like spam to me and I delete them, so that's fine, okay. Yeah, my concern is the inability to self-sustain and the ability to select, I mean,
I have to tell you, I am wary of any move to eliminate the subsidies that we do get.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not, I mean, our rents do pay a good portion of the building expense here, but, you know, we need that subsidy here.
yeah, I agree.
And if they're not telling us now, I mean, they're just
No,
asking
this
us,
is,
are you
this
interested?
is early retirement. They're looking for people to, they're looking for certain housing authorities to step forward. But this, to me, is canary in the coal mine, for sure.
You have to be wary of an.
This is a
ongoing
harbinger
system.
of things to come, exactly.
They're
If
suggesting
that were the case, will we
withdraw.
lose federal restrictions?
So there,
I go to the tower money, the, sell money, if that's no longer federal property, can we do whatever we want with that?
there's a lot of red lines, they said that
Yeah.
was be taken away, so there wouldn't be the inspections,
That's
there
what I mean,
wouldn't be
federal
the
restrictions, that's what I'm saying.
requirements. So they're given rewards if
Anything that
go
we
this
did,
route.
and my gut is I'm opposed to it, but if it came further down and it came to be, I would certainly want first and foremost a release on the restrictions of those roof monies.
Oh,
I
that's-
mean, how dare they can't have it both ways, in
I
other
think that
words.
goes without saying. I
Yeah.
think if they release it, then they release.
Yeah. But I mean,
But that's still not enough to
no,
maintain
no,
this.
but
Yeah.
we are always hand tied with that. We're like, this parking lot, this, it would give us more flexibility. But I agree, I think this is an absolute harbinger of things to come.
I think it's a really
Scary.
dangerous road to go
Yeah.
down.
Yep, I agree.
So I am very much opposed to that.
I've talked to a lot of executive directors,
Did they all get the same call?
yes.
Okay.
We all got the same call, we all got the same speech. I
So
feel that HUD's walking away from public housing, and I'm here to serve
Ironic,
the
given that the
elderly
H
and
stands
the
for housing.
disabled.
Right.
Yeah,
I
isn't
feel,
that
I feel like they're walking away too, and I'm not happy about it.
No.
I am absolutely vehemently opposed,
This is a budget cut. This is
Yeah.
a budget cut.
Absolutely.
and I think you should communicate that, Kelly, if
But
we
your
all
board
agree.
is vehemently
Yeah.
opposed
Do you
to.
need a vote
to
of
this.
your board?
I need a vote that I did bring up this conversation, and that you're either opposed to it, or you wanna move forward.
I haven't heard from Bruce, but I've heard the remainder of the board is
But I'm
universally
assuming, Bruce, you
opposed.
agree with us that you would be opposed.
Yes.
So your board is universally opposed.
I make a motion that we acknowledge that our executive director has brought the issue of
Repositioning proposal.
repositioning before us, and after ample discussion, the board unanimously voted to express our opposition to such a move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous opposition, unanimous approval of the vote.
Thank you.
Wow. That is a
Scary.
canary in the coal mine. I'm telling you, that's a budget cut.
That is bad.
What else you got for us, Kelly?
Are we having an ice cream social immediately following the meeting or something? Yeah. exactly.
Whenever you skipped over that part, I'm like, oh.
All right,
Is there
any
anything
other,
else? Is there anything else?
No, that's all.
does anyone else have any other new business or audit? Because I have a couple of new
I
business
don't know
items.
if this is new business or not, but they've been painting the interior of the building. They've done all the stairwells, the walls and doors in the hallways. The colors are right over there for the doors, which I kind of like. I don't know what it is, but it's a blue gray, is that right?
It's like
Okay,
a,
whatever.
sky blue.
No, that's not stylish.
I think it's a gray with a blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks blue to me, and I had a cheat on my color test. But anyway,
Men are always the last ones to know the color anyway, so.
you got that. And other than that, they're continuing to do the halls and the apartment doors. That's it.
Nice.
Anyone else? I have a couple items, if not. Okay, I mentioned the ELOCs thing earlier when we were talking about money. That makes me anxious only because at some point, and I think it was not until the spring that I had to get it done, but with me not getting it done, so just keep that in the back of your mind. This is probably old business. The Beal project, as most of the people are, at this table are aware, the Beal New School did get passed. I mean, not that it was in doubt, but it was certainly never guaranteed. With that comes an entire slew of opportunities for the town and potentially the housing authority, as well as a variety of other opportunities to do the Beal property. Given that it is now a done deal, there's a lot of interest in that parcel. This went from being a, I don't wanna say small skunk work committee, because that's unfair, but a small appointed committee by the selectmen to having the eyes and ears of everybody now. So now the planning board is interested. There's this new town center committee. They've gotten a study regulated to the tune of like 20 grand that did a parking study around the center. That's all now being wrapped into the Beal reuse in town center. It's interesting, and I'm giving you guys this update because I kind of served two masters on that committee. I was appointed by this committee. But the attention has come so that there's two people trying to help decide what may or may not happen with that space. One was at the bequest of the selectmen who were working to get the new school passed. They formed this committee and said they wanted to take recommendations. Since it was passed, the town planner's office has gotten involved and they've formed the town center committee. And we're both essentially working kind of towards the same goal, but not in the same Robert's Rules of Order fashion. There's two kinds of sets of bodies doing the same thing. They've already commissioned architects to draw our blueprints. We've already got some recommendations. So we actually have, we've had several meetings. We have another meeting a week from Monday. So at my next meeting, I'll have even more data to give you. But the interest on what to do with that space is heating up, and there is certainly interest in making affordable housing. but the town doesn't want to be involved in it, certainly anything more than arm's length. And so if the town were involved in it, it would require maybe putting the parcel out to bid, or putting restrictions on it, or putting desires on it, and all of that is still being hammered out. But I wanted this board to know that, not a specific per se update, but there's a lot, I think in the coming weeks and months, you'll see a lot of focus and attention from a lot of different departments in the town about what to do with that. I can tell you with certainty, one of the things that our committee did was email, or physically mail, every single town, department, and municipality, meaning the school department, the public works, the police, to see if they were interested in repurposing the existing buildings, and it was a universal no. So,
So everybody's talking about knocking it down.
that's where the discussion is going. I'd be shocked if it ends anywhere but that, but that's not a foregone conclusion, and as a member of the committee, I can't tell you that's the conclusion. But,
Right.
but where I think it will end, if you ask me my opinion, is it'll be put for proposal out to bid to a developer to get on the tax roll and get off of, public maintenance. There is a subset of people that said, well, maybe the town can do this and do that and guide it, or put incentives into an RFP that says, if you do retail, we'll give you X discount, if you do public housing, we'll give you Y discount and incentives and things like that. But that's probably, that RFI or RFP is probably 6 months or a year from even going out, because we have a 2-year window for the school to be built. So stay tuned, but I owe this board an update on that. A lot of activity around that. And then the only other thing that I was approached by, and I don't even know what our protocol here is, Ridgeland Road, we have a piece of land up off Elizabeth, correct?
Yeah,
That Anthony forever and ever was always trying to get something done with it. So if there's a development, a housing development company that does project-based and things like that, that would be interested in acquiring or working with us to do something in joint where we would put projects up, what's the protocol there? Who would that person engage, and how, and in what way? Is the piece of land in play, or is it like sleeper? This predates me. The only project I've seen was Ridgeland Road, and that was done with the Mass Department of Health.
I don't recall, can I take this?
Yeah.
I don't recall the particular contract for Elizabeth, but if it's anything like previous contracts, such as the parcel of land that this is on,
Right.
then our contract with the state encompasses the whole parcel, which means that anything we do, we would have to go to DHCD and say, we need your permission.
That's what I didn't know.
Okay.
Can you verify that, or do you know that to
Well,
be true?
she can pull the contract out
Yeah.
and take a look at it,
Thanks.
and we'd be able to figure that out in short order.
Great.
Without even checking with them, we could look at the contract.
Right.
I do know that the one for this facility, we have a big piece of land over here, as you
Right,
recall.
right.
But it's got some slope issues, got some other issues,
yeah.
but it's still, I mean, there's no real good pieces of land left in Shrewsbury,
Right.
frankly. So I think everything is in play, and I don't think it's an insurmountable deal to go to the grant agency and say, okay, we want to do this, this, and this, such that you did with the parking lot that never went
Right, right.
forward.
Yeah.
I think that, you can go to the grant agency and say, listen, this is unused land, we want to use it, and this is what
So-
we want to do.
Can I make a request of Kelly to verify that and work with Richard to tell me that that's okay, and then I'll keep people apprised if anything comes. It was a conversation, but I was like, I don't know, I'll ask the board, so.
How big of a parcel is it?
It's probably,
We own it?
We
As
own
in-
it.
okay.
Well, that's what
I can
we
tell you.
own it, but I don't know what
I can tell you, it
covenants or
goes from
restrictions are on it.
Elizabeth Gardens down.
Down to
almost
Jordan
the
Pond, yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Right,
fairly
right.
good sized piece of
Yeah.
land.
Okay. So Kelly, can you do that as an action item for me?
Whatever you think about there, though, also has to be very tasteful, very conservative, because you've got neighborhoods back there that
Yeah.
will
Go bananas.
go bananas if you impose too much development on them.
Right, right. Completely agreed, okay.
I'm mindful of the fact that even when we put Elizabeth Gardens in, we faced some pretty serious pushback at that time,
Okay.
even though it was outlet, so. Look what we faced, those of you that remember Ridgeland Road.
Ridgeland, I remember well.
We had quite a couple of hearings on that one.
Yeah.
So,
Could it be 32R?
would be.
Is that the address?
Could be, yeah.
It's not Elizabeth, it's the
No, it's
street
Ridgeland,
before.
right.
No, it's not
No,
Ridgeland.
not Ridgeland.
It's the road before Elizabeth. If you're going down South
Okay.
Quincy, Elizabeth is like your fifth or seventh left.
Yeah.
Like
It's the
Robert or
one
Daniel
right
or
before
something
it,
like
whatever that
Okay,
left
so
right.
it's not Ridgeland.
Correct,
No.
it's not Ridgeland.
It's one of the name streets.
Yeah,
It's not
one of those, right before,
What?
Elizabeth.
Jordan.
Jordan?
No, is
Is
there
it-
a
Isn't it
Jordan?
right behind?
It's right before, if you pull up Elizabeth, it's the street before Elizabeth.
Okay.
Because it's another way of getting to the same parcel. Elizabeth doesn't get you there. I believe, from past memory.
So the answer is, I think anything's doable, but the regulations that you gotta go through are kinda daunting when you
Okay.
start talking about, public-private partnerships.
All right, well, I'll get information, bring it back to the board.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board before I open it up to the audience?
You know, Jordan, it's Jordan.
It is, yeah,
Okay,
Good work.
because it goes right out to the pond.
okay.
You only go by it
Every day.
every day.
Okay,
Sev-
if there are no.
Several acres there, Kathy.
I can tell you in a minute.
What do you want?
Shrewsbury, town of, 0 Jordan. Oh, there's two of them. There's, Shrewsbury owns 34 through 38, which that's probably it, and then there's 0. No, that can't be it.
Okay.
Is this your stuff?
Yes, those were just notices.
3.7 acres.
That makes sense.
Is that enough? I get, well,
They make
Something really
payments
big.
February.
All right, does anyone in the audience have any questions for this board? Going once,
Come on, you guys.
going twice?
We're here for you.
All right, then I guess the only other thing, I know we don't usually do this on camera, and we won't talk about the date and time, but we
Then
talk,
I will make a motion to adjourn.
okay.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
All right,